Hello, estate planning mom here, Krista Hermance. So I am live with you answering your estate planning questions. If you want to know what a will is, what a trust is, what estate planning is, how to nominate guardians for your minor children, these are all things that I am going to be going over in my estate planning questions and answers today. So if you have any questions, please make sure to post them in the comments with what your estate planning question is. Again, whether it's wills, trusts, nominating guardians for your minor children. Make sure to put that in the comments and I will try to get to your question. If you don't want to post a comment or a question, please always feel free to just email us. It's info@hermanslaw.com, and I will be happy to respond to those questions through email as well. You can also visit our website, hermanslaw.com. Tons and tons of resources on there, free printables, frequently asked questions, lots of videos on different aspects of estate planning. So if you're just starting out and really not understanding where to get the information or what the information is about, because I know it can be confusing. I absolutely do. And that's really what we try and do, is we try to make it super easy for you. As always, you can always call or text our office. Phone number is 805-518-9633, and we can help you from that aspect as well. Okay, so if you're just joining us, make sure, again, post your question and I will try and get to it. The first question I have is, I am young and don't need to worry about estate planning. Isn't estate planning just for older people? So I get this comment a lot from people that think, because they're younger, that they don't need to put an estate plan in place. And I like to think that anybody that is over the age of 18 should have some type of planning. So if it's, like an 18-year-old, somebody that's just graduated high school, going off to college, even, if they are in, going away to school, young adults, they should have some type of planning documents, whether it be a power of attorney document, an advanced healthcare directive, which allows them to nominate an agent to make healthcare decisions on their behalf. Going back to the power of attorney, that allows the person who's creating the power of attorney to be able to create and to identify an agent to be able to make financial decisions for them on their behalf. And this can have a lot to do with if kids are going away to college, having a power of attorney nominated so that they can say that they would want their parents to be able to act on their behalf. So it's really important, especially as kids are going away to school right now. So on the other side of that, though, is if people have kids, right? So maybe they're young and they have kids. You should still have some type of planning documents in place, whether it be a will, where you identify who you want to be guardians for your minor children, which a lot of the questions that I have for today are relating to that. And because without any documentation in place, if something happened to both parents, then the court would have absolutely no idea what your wishes actually were, which is why it's so important to at least have some type of planning documents that say what your wishes are. This is your opportunity to legally document what you want your wishes to be. So that's why doing this type of estate planning is really important, especially if you have minor children. So again, anybody that over the age of 18 should have some type of planning documents. It allows your wishes to be legally documented. It allows your family to know exactly what you would want, how you want your stuff to be distributed. If you don't have planning documents and you have assets, meaning you own a home, or you have assets that need to be distributed as part of a probate proceeding, which we've talked about before. And if you don't know, I'm happy to go over that again. But through the court process, then it's distributed according to California law. So it may not be the way that you would actually want it to be distributed. And so this is your opportunity to make sure that you are able to legally document how you want your stuff distributed, who you want to care for your kids if something happened. It's your emergency plan, right? It's your insurance policy. It's you planning, which is why it's so important. Okay, if you are just joining me, we are doing estate planning questions and answers. If you have any questions on estate planning, please post your questions in the comments. And I will try and get to them. If you don't want to post them in the comments, please always feel free to send us an email. It's info@hermanslaw.com, or go to our website, hermanslaw.com, and you can find lots of information on there about all different types of ways to look at estate planning, the different aspects of it, the things to consider, tons and tons of information, as well as a lot of free printables on there. Okay, so next question. If I have a will, doesn't that mean that my estate planning is done? So it really depends. It depends on what type of estate you have, what kind of assets you have. If you have minor children, there might be more that needs to be done, because having a will, all that a will does is say that if something were to happen to you, this is how you want your stuff distributed through the probate court. And it basically tells the court how you want your stuff distributed. If you have minor children, they're probably nominated in your will. But if you own a home, right? And when I say own a home, I don't mean that you own it outright, because most people don't own their homes outright. But if you own a home and you have a mortgage, well, if something happens, then that house is going to have to go through probate to be able to get to your kids. Even if you have a will, it has to go through probate. So if you're trying to avoid probate, having other types of planning documents like a trust, which is what we do most of the planning for our clients is trust-based planning, where so rather than having just a will, you have a will and a trust where all your stuff is funded, it's in the name of your trust. So it avoids that probate process, which saves a lot of money for the court costs. It saves a lot of time. Right now, we're looking at court for probate taking anywhere from 1 to 2 years. And it's completely public. So by having a trust, it keeps all that stuff private, so people don't actually know, how is stuff being distributed in your estate. So a will isn't just the only estate planning document that you need, okay? Advanced healthcare directive, power of attorney document, all of these important documents that say if something happened, how would you want your stuff handled? Who would you want making decisions for you? Who would you want making financial decisions, making healthcare decisions? What kind of healthcare decisions do you want? All of these documents kind of play into this whole estate plan, okay? Okay, if you're just joining us, please make sure to post any questions that you have in the comments, and I will try and get to those. You can also email us, info@hermanslaw.com, and I'm happy to respond there. Sometimes I know questions are personal. You don't want to ask them in a public forum, and I totally get that. So you can send us an email there or call our office, 805-518-9633. Okay, let's get to the next question. What is a guardian for my children? So I talk about this a lot just because we do focus on planning for families with minor children. And what nominating a guardian does is it allows you to say that if something happened to you and the other parent, this is who you would want to raise your kids. The reason why nominating guardians is so important is because without having any legal documentation in place that says who you would want that guardian to be, if something happened, the court would have no idea what your wishes are. And this is why it's so important that you have guardians nominated for your minor children. Because without this, maybe you've had conversations with people and where you've said, if something happened, would you be the guardian? Some people know this as godparents. I've heard lots of different terms for it, fairy godparents, all kinds of different terms. But they need to be in writing. They need to be legally in writing that would show the court. And so if you have these conversations with people and something happened and they go to the court and petition the court for custody, well, what if somebody else from your family petitioned the court? And then at this point, the court would have no idea who you would actually want because there's nothing legally in writing. And so then it's almost like a custody battle where the court's going to try and determine who would be the best fit for your kids. And it may not be who you would want. Right? There may be people that would petition the court that wouldn't be your first choice or any choice at all. And so by nominating guardians for your minor kids, by putting it in writing, by making this legal document that says who you would want, it tells the court what your wishes are. And I know that this is probably one of the biggest reasons I hear people just don't get their planning done because they can't decide. Or maybe there's this tension between the spouses or the parents that who to decide. One wants one, the other wants another. Your choice is better than no choice at all, because then it's at least you putting something in writing that would tell the court. So if there's one thing that you get from me speaking today is take a look at this. I have a free planning guide. You can go to our website, hermanslaw.com, go to the freebies under resources, and there is an estate planning guide there. It's a parent's guide for estate planning. There's a whole section that has guardianship, And it talks about what things to look for when nominating guardians for your minor children. Look like the characteristics, the things that you should consider. Where are they located at? Do they have other children? Financially, are they able to take on another child? These are all kind of factors that you should look at. And then you make a list, right? Start writing names down, put them in order of just kind of like this working list. Because the act of you writing it down is going to help you mentally start figuring out, would I be okay with that? Make that list and then put it in order. Pick 3. Pick primary and then backups. And then let it sit and just say, am I okay with this? Let it sit for a few days and think about it. And just say, am I okay with this? Because the point that you're looking for right now is, do I have this feeling in my stomach that it's not okay? Then you didn't make the right choice, right? Go back and look at the list again. Cross people out, move them around, something to make it so that it feels good to you. Because it's never going to feel like this is the most amazing thing ever, because nobody wants to think about this. They don't, but it's so important to do it. And so by going through this activity, it's going to help you determine who you want. Okay. So if there's one thing that you got from me today, is go look at your guardianship and try and figure out, who do you want? Start having that hard conversation with your significant other. I know it's hard. I do. I see it all the time. But you need to choose somebody, because without it, then you have no say if something happened, and it's a court making that decision for you without any input from you. Okay. Okay. I know that was hard. And one of the things that we really focus on when we look at planning for families is really trying to take the emotion as best as we can out of this. I know it's not fun to think about. I know it's not fun to talk about. And so it's really just trying to kind of just do that planning side, and that's all we do. Okay, so if you're just joining us, please post your questions in the comments, and I will try and get to that. And I'm going to get to the next question. And if you have a question and you don't want to post it here, I totally get that. You can send us an email. It's info@hermanslaw.com. As always, you can visit our website, hermanslaw.com. Tons and tons of resources on there for you to be able to go and get started with the process. Try to figure out what's going on, what's a will, what's a trust. I have a ton of information on there for you. So please just, overload on all of the information on there so that you have a good idea, because I know it can be overwhelming, and I really try and make it easy for you. Okay, so how do you nominate guardians for your minor children? That is the next question. So there's a couple different ways to do it. The most common way is by putting it in your will. And so by putting it in your will, you are saying in your will that if something were to happen to me, this is who I would want to be guardians for my minor children. I practice in the state of California. In California, we are a very family-centric state. So if there are 2 parents and something happens to one parent, the odds are that the courts are going to make sure that the other parent is the parent of the child, that they are the guardian, unless there's some other circumstances that are going on. I don't want to get into that right now, but that's generally the way it would work. So if something happened to both parents, this is what the guardianship paperwork would be able to say, is that if something happened and there was no guardian for the kids, this is what my choices would be. And that's what the will allows you to do, is nominate guardians. So we take that a step further, is what we do, because our practice focuses on families with minor children. So it's really about protecting the kids with the things that we do. And so with our Kids Safeguard System, which is this folder here, we kind of go a step above that and just really making sure that there's a plan for the kids that if something happened. And so we do our own guardian nomination form. So it's outside of the will, or I should say in addition to the will, where we go through and we nominate guardians for the minor kids from a long-term perspective. When we're doing guardian nomination, just because, I'm a mom, all of our team is our parents, that's what we think about is having plans in place for the kids. And so it's really trying to look at your guardianship and say, okay, if you have a couple that's named as guardians as your primary, because we usually try and find 3, so 3 people, or three spots, I should say, so the primary and then 2 backups. If you have a couple to act as your primary guardians, they would act jointly, right? But if something happened to one of them, would you want the other one to remain guardian by themselves, or would you want it to go to the next person? And so looking at really, getting into the detail that, let's just say it was your sister and your brother-in-law, and your sister was in a car accident with you. Would you want your kids to go to your brother-in-law since he's listed jointly with your sister? It might be a yes answer, but it might not be. You wouldn't necessarily want him to raise your kids by himself. Maybe he's got his own kids. And so then you would want it to go to the next person, that backup that you have listed there. And so that's really what we try and do, is really hash out that guardian nomination to make sure that it's really what you would want. And I find that people, when they try and do this themselves, it's hard to kind of put this concept together. And I've seen a lot of things where people try and do it themselves and use online drafting software to do all kinds of estate planning stuff. And it just, what their intent of what they would want doesn't actually come out in how they're doing it. And so I really caution people in using online drafting to, if you don't understand it, it may not be what you actually want. And I get cases now where something has actually happened and what they thought they did online wasn't actually what they did. So the documents that they thought they needed weren't the actual documents that they needed. And now their estate is having to go through probate because they didn't get the planning in place that they actually needed. And so that's one of the reasons why I always tell people, really work with an attorney. Even if you think you have a super simple case, maybe you get the stuff done correctly, but you don't do the after steps, which is where having an attorney to guide you in that process and help you and assist you is helping you with that. Okay, so back to guardianship. So when you have the guardian nomination, we do the short term. Also, what we do as part of our Kids Safe First system is we do short-term guardian nominations. And this is so important for families that maybe they don't have family close by. Maybe, they are, maybe they moved to where they are now because they had a spouse that moved there for a job and they don't have any family. So if something happened to both parents, what would happen to the kids? Well, Child Protective Services would need to come in and try and locate a family member. And what if they couldn't locate somebody? Or what if they were in a different state or in another country, which I see happen a lot? Then by having this short-term guardian nomination and preventing Child Protective Services from taking the kids out of the home and putting them in foster care, this short-term guardian nomination says, this is who I would want to be able to watch my kids until my guardians are able to get to them. And so it's having that short-term people, whether it's your neighbor, somebody from a mom's group, a preschool group, a play group, from school, a coworker, somebody that's close by that could take your children and keep them safe until guardians were able to get to them. And I think this is a really powerful document, just really giving parents the peace of mind knowing that if something happened, that there would be people that they have identified to be able to keep their children and hold them until guardians were able to get to them and keep them safe. And so that's the short-term guardian nomination. And this Kids Safe First system, we actually have this as a separate product that we offer for people, that allows them to get guardian stuff in place. And so I do this for some people that maybe they don't need a trust or a will right now, but they want guardianship, so we do this. This does come standard, included in the cost with every trust package that we do. So there's no additional charge for it. Also with this plan is we do letters to all of the guardians, right? So basically saying, hey, you're a potential guardian, there's nothing you need to do. If you have any questions, please let us know. We also do emergency contact information. And so, who is on your emergency list besides just you and your spouse? So it's really trying to make sure that you have people that can be easily identified by a babysitter or a caretaker on who to be able to contact, information about the kids, where to find a flashlight, where to find a fire extinguisher. We do a confidential guardian exclusion letter. So maybe there's somebody that you would never want to be guardians for your kids. Well, you can write a letter, a confidential letter that would tell the court if something ever happened and they petitioned for guardianship, I wouldn't want them to be guardian, and this is the reason why. And so it's really just kind of having that extra voice if it was ever necessary. Another new thing that we have with this, which I'm really excited about for parents, is wishes to guardians. So this is a very long, we give this to you in a printable where you can basically go through and just say, how do you want your kids raised? Where do you want them to go to school? Where do you want them to, what sports do you want them to play? What activities do you want them to be involved in? What languages to speak? All kinds of different stuff. Allowance, cars, just everything you can think of, religion, holidays, family traditions, all in here. And so you can update it whenever you need to. We also do emergency wallet cards, which, this is if there's an emergency and you're in a car accident or something, emergency responders would know who to call in an emergency. I keep these in my purse. My husband has one in his wallet, and he actually lost his wallet at a movie theater, and the movie theater found it and called me. So he got his wallet back, which was great. So that was a kind of good thing for that. And then we have car seat stickers. So if you have young children that are in car seats, this information would just go on the side of the car seat, so emergency responders would know the kid's name, who the emergency contacts are, and if they have any medical issues. And so that is our Kid Safeguard system. Again, lots of information, just really kind of going above and beyond to make sure that the kids are protected, because that is our focus, on making sure that plans are in place to make sure that you have a plan in place, giving you peace of mind as parents. Okay, I think that is all the questions that I have for today. If you have any questions and I haven't gotten to them, please get those posted and I can try and get to it real quick before I finish up. But if you are just joining me, you can always email me, info@hermanslaw.com. I am on here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. answering your estate planning questions. You can always visit our website, hermanslaw.com, for any information, right? There's lots and lots of resources on there. The planning guide that I mentioned before is on there as a free resource. So please make sure to go there and be able to click that. You can call or text our office, 805-518-9633. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you do go to our website, you'll see up at the top hand corner there that there is a Schedule Now link. You can go click that schedule and get a free 15-minute phone call where you can get, what is our process? What type of planning do we have? What type of packages do we have? So that you can get some more information before getting one of our appointments scheduled with one of the attorneys for a family planning assessment. We do have offices in Westlake Village, Ventura, and Santa Clarita. And then we service clients throughout California. So with everything that's going on right now, everything is virtual. And so it's really been great being able to service clients throughout the state, as we do have a lot of out of local clients that we are helping. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.